Welcome, Ash Taylor.
I've done that bit now, haven't I? Yeah, I'm going to need that. Which way's forwards?
Down.
Down, down. If I stand here, you can see that, can't you? Yeah, brilliant, excellent. Welcome along, everybody. This is me. I'm going to talk about getting booked, getting paid, 5 cool things that I've done, I've experienced, been through myself, so it's not fluff, it's not theory, it's just stuff I've tried that has worked. First thing you've got to do before we kick on with that is do what Lara said and work on your confidence, because some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about here takes some balls. Okay, it literally takes quite a lot of chutzpah, as they say, okay? So, tiny bit about me, 30 seconds, so I'm really aware I've only got 10 minutes. That's why I'm going to check my clock before we start. Okay, I've done a fair amount of speaking now, shared a stage with Joanna Martin. I run workshops for some quite big entrepreneurial businesses up in the Midlands. I spoke at a beautiful venue at Moore Park Golf Club, which is that really cool one, third one along the top there, which is just unbelievable room, probably my favourite gig. Middle one was my favourite, that was 950 people, which was good fun. Local Chamber of Commerce stuff. I won the 2017 Corporate Speaker Championships in the UK thing as well, which was quite nice. But my biggest one to date was that bottom one, which was my wedding speech 6 weeks ago. And that's probably the most important gig that I've done, to be honest, thank you. So that was cool. So a tiny little bit about me. There you go, my experience. So the first thing we're going to talk about is defining being paid. Because when you think about being paid, the first thing most people probably think of is show me the money. Okay, would that be fair? And that's okay. And there are a few people in this room who can go out and get paid decent sums for speaking. Okay, I can see at least one person at the back nodding away and giving it a little bit of an internal hoo-ha, which is fine, okay? And that's good. But on that journey, you sometimes may need to start in other places. So the first thing you want to do whenever you are going out to speak and looking to get paid is define what being paid might be. I've got paid decent sums in the hundreds as expenses, speaking for a charity that didn't have a budget to pay a fee. But they had a budget for expenses. Okay? Can you sell from the stage? And Harriet's going to talk a little bit about that later on, I believe. And that can be a phenomenal way of getting paid. Is that if you're being put into a room full of people that are your target market and you have the opportunity to give value and make the right offer, that's getting paid. Can you use it as an opportunity to build your list? Okay, creating value for yourself, then make the offer later on after you've given some value. And can you use it as an opportunity to build content for your own portfolio? So I'm now being videoed, that's brilliant. I'll nick the content off Dan at some point and I'll stick it on my YouTube channel. Okay, more content. It could be testimonials. I've done gigs where I've been allowed to take my phone and just ask people in the audience for testimonials. Did you enjoy that? What did you get out of that? You can get 10, 15 testimonials from a room. Okay? So think about what being paid might be, especially if you're starting out fairly early in your journey. The other thing is just go out and ask. And I've lost count of the number of speakers that I've spoken to and I've said to them, did you just ask for a fee? And they went, well, I just assumed they would offer me one. Ask. And one of my favourite ways of doing that is just saying, do you have a budget? And they'll say either yes or no. And if they say yes, I'll say up to. Because they're always going to tell you the lower end of the budget. If they say 5 grand, they're really meaning 7. Okay, up to, really powerful words. And if they say no, so if they don't have a budget, let's come back to I'm prepared to speak for free. But can I get those testimonials? Can I get feedback on the talk? One of the ways that I've found that works really well after doing a free gig is to just say thank you. So to email the organizer afterwards, I send them a video and I'll just send them a short video. I use BombBomb, which is a really, really cool app. and I'll just send them a video saying, hey, really appreciate the opportunity to speak to your audience and to give them some value. I hope you got something out of it. I'd love to speak again. And invariably what happens is they'll come back to me and go, that was really great, our audience loved it, can you do it again? And I'll say, yes, but if you loved it so much, would you mind paying me? And usually they will. And I think best experience of that was it's a place called Northamptonshire Business Club. I did the first gig there for free. He then paid me for expenses. I spoke in May, he paid me 750 quid for 30 minutes. So you just got to work with the organisers and build a relationship with them. But saying thank you is really important. And get as much video as you can when you speak for free. Anything that you can do, both for your own development, so you can look back at what you've done, but also because you can add it to your content portfolio. Video is so important when you speak. And how much would it, and I don't mean to be rude to Dan, but how much would it cost you to go out and get a professional video done of you speaking where you're probably a bit nervous because there's a camera in your face, but actually if you're in a gig and you're giving value and you're getting that free video anyway, you'd probably pay a couple of grand or more for that? Yeah, he's shaking his head there. Okay, so that's a way of getting paid. The fourth thing, this is going to sound a little bit strange possibly, but go to events. So some of the gigs that I've gone to, I have gone to hotels, okay, not schools or centre parks, but hotels, and I've just looked at the conference centres and I've looked at what events are going on. And if there happens to be an event on that day, the next day, and I'm near enough, I'll go and pop in. And I'll just say, I'm a speaker, I'm wondering if I can have a look and see, you know, if the event resonates with my market. I probably would not go and talk to a room full of women selling Arbonne, for example. I hope that doesn't offend anybody. It's just not my market, and it's the first thing that came into my head, okay? Or lifeguards, kind of balance it out a little bit. But if it's a room aimed at business owners or a corporate setting that I think I can add value to, just go and talk to the organizer. So, you know, have you organized next year's event? What kind of topics are you thinking of? Do you do them quarterly? Would you like a different face to speak at that event? Here's my portfolio. Can I contact you? Just go and talk to them. Okay, because by attending the events, you get a real feeling of the kind of stuff that they want anyway for that room. Does that make sense? Okay, you should just go in and say hello, communicate. And if you're speaking, you're going to have to be a good communicator anyway. So just go and do it. All right, so that's worked really well for me. If there are no events going on, ask the hotel whether they host events, whether it's the sort of place where they do host conferences, where they've got regular companies using their rooms for hire to hold events, etc. And just say to them, when's the next event? Do you have an event organizer in your space that I could talk to? Because sometimes what will happen is that companies will go to hotels or go to conference centers and they'll say, we want to bring 150 people. Do you know any speakers? So if you're front of mind, they might say, yeah, actually, we met this guy last week and let me introduce you to him. So that's the fourth thing that I've done. The fifth thing is to get really specific. Okay? So I think it was just before I'm going to throw it in anyway, just before I went on honeymoon a few weeks ago, I said to the 4 networking groups that I attend locally, I'm looking for some speaking gigs. But I didn't say I'm looking for some speaking gigs. I said I am looking for speaking gigs in secondary schools that are doing careers days during July. Okay, I've got 5. The more specific you are, that's not me showing off my wedding ring, by the way, but the more specific you are, the more likely you are to get the gigs that you ask for. Okay, be really specific. Know the audience that you want to speak to. So does everybody, you know, can you show of hands, I don't want your arms to get tired, so I've not done it a huge amount, but show of hands, those of you who have a really clear idea of, if I could fill this room for you tomorrow at 5 p.m. with, what have we got, 30 people of your ideal market to talk to, who could come to me and say, this is who I want in that room? That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Work on that, okay? Know who the audience that you want to speak to. Position yourself as an expert or authority or influencer, okay? Have you got a YouTube channel? Are you doing podcasts? Do you blog regularly? Do you get out and network? Do people know who you are? Okay? And give value. Think about the value you want to give. So if one of you came to me and said, you're running an event, Ash, and I'd like to speak at your event, my first question would be, what value are you going to give my audience? What are they going to get from it? Because it's not about you, it's about them. Why should I put you in front of my tribe? Okay, for what reason? Can you answer that question? All right. And 5A, because I got to 5 and thought there's more. Okay. Have a cause. Okay, that can really help you. And there's a member, I don't know if Emily still is a member, but she had a cause, and that's catapulted her. Okay, in terms of speaking. Write a book. Even if it's a Ladybird book, write a book, get published. Helps a lot, doesn't it, Elliot? Okay. I'd like to speak at your event, or I'd like to speak at your event, and by the way, I'm a published author. Ooh. Okay. YouTube, as we've talked about, podcasts. Okay. I suspect Lara's going to find it easier to get gigs now because she's got that regular podcast going. So, quick recap, because I'm into my last 30 seconds. Define paid. Ask. Just don't be afraid. Go and ask for gigs. Speak for free or not, because you can find a way of monetizing free gigs. Go to events and just speak to the organizer, speak to the hotel. Get really, really specific and get published. That's it. Thank you very much.